Still working on that spoiler alert. I'll have a new one by next week, I swear. Hey, it's Captain John. It is time for us to get the show begun. It's time. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Oh. Welcome to Starbase 80s Disco Night. I'm one of your hosts, Captain John. And of course, it ain't a party until we get Joe Townsend in here. Joe!
Do my own unique bite the lower lip white boy move.
One of my favorite references from When Harry Met Sally, if I remember correctly.
Among others, yes.
Yes. We had a very interesting episode this week on Star Trek Discovery. Disco Nights, of course, being the show where Joe Townsend and John Weber like to recap and review the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery in its final season, by the way, in case you don't know. You probably know because we are trying to be very careful about spoilers here. So again, if you have not, let me just throw this. If you have not seen this episode, we're going to be throwing around all kinds of memories of us having watched it. And they're very fresh memories, of course. But yeah, this is spoiler land. So be careful. You're going to run into some spoilers. Joe Townsend, how are you feeling about this episode? About this season? I'm sorry. I know we talk every week about it, but have your feelings changed at all?
Not really. I think I can use one phrase to sum up the season and this episode specifically so far.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mixed bag. Enough cons for more pros than cons. But in all, and I will those, and as I know you will, when we get to some of the beats, tidbits. But there's what was great was great. What was okay could have been better.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you on that. I have to say, I feel like I'm warming up to certain elements that I was not too receptive of. And one of the biggest ones being Maul and Locke. I don't know. This is an interesting episode because it does give us more information about them, and it worked on me. It worked on me, I have to say. I have more of a positive feeling toward them. Them being the Bonnie and Clyde of the 32nd century, the natural born killers of this season. I think they did a pretty nice job with that. I normally hate that level of flashback, and there's a lot of flashbacks in this episode. I normally don't warm up to that, but somehow it worked on me, and I have to tip my hat to them. Well done. Drove me crazy when I was watching the series Lost. Oh God, more backstory. Oh, good Lord. But
flashback
in this one, so, Mr. Townsend, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready to begin?
The beats.
The beat. I did that with my eyes closed.
Oh, cool.
I didn't even mean it. Let's go through. Joe Townsend does us an incredible service every week where he breaks down each episode into its beats. And Mr. Townsend, would you please present your bounty to the assembled masses?
I will endeavor to do my best. I will offer a disclaimer right at the top of the meant as a copyright infringement on you talented ladies. So just want to get that out. So here we go with all right. Mirrors, episode 5, season 5. As the leisure begins, Book ponders the choices he's made and how he might be able to redeem Maul, the daughter of his mentor. Now, Stamets and Tilly to the next clue did not culminate into a dry hole. No, it's actually a wormhole. Unfortunately, the aperture isn't big enough for the disco, so Burnham exercises her captain's prerogative. She'll take a shuttle and her boyfriend and head into the wormhole. Raynor pulls her, reminds her that Captain shouldn't take dangerous field duty. Too late, Mr. XO. Mikey's already done it 3 times in 5 episodes this season alone. Too little, too late.
Let's say good evening to our good friend Craig Robinson joining us.
Craig, good evening. Craig. And what came next? Well, Burnham placates Raynor, assuring him that the center seat will fit him just dandy. Into the wormhole, Burnham and Book go. Now the ride gets really bumpy as they fly through exotic matter, deaf and blind. And watch out! There's some random pieces of Maul and Locke's ship flying about. Now the captain and former courier's only hope is another ship. A much bigger ship. A very familiar ship. Why? It's the Enterprise. No bloody A, B, C, or D. But there is a difference. There's an I instead of a U. Yes, kiddies, it's the ISS Enterprise from that pesky old mirror universe. Episode title alert. Michael and Book. They dock alongside, too big to go in the shuttle bay. And they're going inside the shipwrecked Terran Empire vessel. They assume that the housekeeping staff must have been given the day off because everything is a mess. They decide to see if things are a bit more tidy on the bridge, but no such luck. Now the duo take a gander at the nerve center. Hey, Mikey says, this is where my Vulcan bro used to sit. Or was it on the other side of the bridge, this being the mirror universe at all? Somewhere around here. Well, it turns out the entire crew is gone, not just housekeeping. The warp drive has been disabled. All shuttles and escape pods are gone. Well, is this characteristic behavior for ruthless Terran Empire soldiers of fortune? Hardly. Must be something unusual going on. Now, Burnham and Book detect 3 quantum signatures in sickbay. But first, there's something fishy in the transporter room, which looks more like a makeshift refugee camp. Well, it turns out the crew mutinied after the Terran High Chancellor Spock for making reforms. Well, Captain Kirk, considered what you were suggesting way back then. Further, a certain Kelpian rebel leader led refugees to the Prime Universe, where they abandoned ship. Mirror Action Saru. Well, while Book gabs, Michael puts a piece of her comm badge in a locket. This will produce a fake Prime Universe quantum signature, don't you know? In sickbay, they find multiple Mauls and Locks, almost like looking into a mirror. Reflected in another mirror. Mirror, mirror, indeed. Geez, it's a hollow emitter trick. One phaser shot shuts off that noise real quick. Now it's time the 4 former couriers to have a Mexican standoff. Book says, "No, Maul, I am your father." Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. That's not it. He says, "I knew your father." But, like Luke Skywalker, Maul has severe daddy issues and ain't having none of this. Well, we have the next clue, Federation flunkies. No, sorry, but we do. Check out my locket. What to do, what to do. No dice, insists Maul and Locke. You see, we have this minor little Eriga, a green blood bounty. Say that fast 4 times.
Green blood bounty.
See? We have this Eriga on our little heads. We need the progenitor tech to get them off our asses. Wait, could it be? Yes, indeedy. Locke is a Breen. He just forgot his refrigerator helmet with the green Cylon eye, so we get to see his cute little mug. Flashback number 1. Maul delivers dilithium to the Breen Imperium, a pretty hot commodity in the aftermath of the burn. After a few smart-ass remarks, Maul gets into a tussle with one of the bucketheads. But Maul knows that this Breen has a skeleton in his closet. She's aware he's a disgraced member of the royal family. Maul, meet Locke. Now, his resistance to her evaporates quickly for the cute blonde, and soon after, Breen meets Girl, the cute couple becomes star-crossed lovers. Now, after some cajoling and cooing from Maul, Locke is convinced to remove his helmet to show his faces? Yes, folks, turns out the Breen have not just one, but two mugs. There's the one we've seen all season, and another that looks like Barlow the vampire from Stephen King's Salem's Lot.
That's good.
Well, thank you, sir.
That's good.
Now, also, Maul gets a little greedy. Shocker.
Yeah.
There's more latinum to be pilfered, so she makes the egregious error of delivering to the Emerald Chain of Orion. Now, should Locke leave his fellow Breen behind? Before he can even give a moment's reflection, get it? Reflection?
Ah.
His Uncle Jerky shows up. He's none too thrilled with his nephew's interspecies romance. What a racist, what a bigot. Now, Unks is also irked with Locke, using that old face and not the evolved Barlow face. Fear not, nephew. I'll give you one last chance to redeem yourself. Just rub out Blondie here. Well, true love emerges victorious. Locke kills him some guards, but for some reason, he shows mercy to Primac Boon. Run. Sorry, I had my mouse cursor over the R. It looked like a B. Well, Primarch Run, who declares the Breen blood bounty, the dreaded Aragah. Episode 7 title alert.
Oh, nice to know.
Yes. They dispatch Boba Fett to collect that bounty post-haste. Just kidding about the Mandalorian there. Well, like the Terminator, once the hot pursuit for Maul and Locke begins, the bounty hunters simply will not stop. The lovers now become two outer space Richard Kimballs, fleeing from Gerard and pursuing their own one-armed man in the form of puzzle pieces. John, yes, I know that analogy is a big stretch even for me. Flashback over. Back to the ISS Enterprise. Maul and Book end up outside some force fields that suddenly pop up around sickbay. Maul agrees to lay down her phaser, pouting. Book tries again to connect, a running theme this season, and every other for that matter. But like Will Riker, Maul has major daddy issues and still ain't having it. All we have is each other, my cutie Breen and me. Locke agrees, and even asks if he and his girl could share a cell in the Federation Pokey. Michael says, she'd be down for that. On the bridge, Book keeps trying to appeal to Maul's sensitive side. She gets impatient with a computer hack that's slow as molasses and just starts yanking out wires. Well, this impromptu vandalism does knock out the force fields, but now the ship is flying out of control.
Yeah.
They're flying deaf and blind on a rocket cycle toward Ming the Merciless. Oh, never mind. But they are flying deaf and blind for the second time in one episode. Now, Burnham and Book's shuttle is tossed aside like an old Tonka toy.
Yeah.
Only 8 minutes until the mirror universe is squished in the little wormhole opening. And I should have said the mirror universe Enterprise. Sorry. Not the whole universe.
No, we know.
Yeah. Well, being a glutton for punishment, Book tries once more to appeal to Maul's family instincts. Okay, I'll go with you to get you to shut up. So the bro and sis head back to sickbay. But shoot, literally. With the force fields neutralized, Michael and Locke are fighting again with phasers. The Captain's Starfleet training comes in handy, however, and she kicks Locke's butt. Side note, poor Locke is becoming more of a wuss with each episode, especially for a Breen. Now, Burnham gets the clue, and Locke gets stabbed in his side. See, Mr. Breen? That's what happens when you bring a knife to a phaser fight. Needless to say, Maul arrives just in time to see her man bleeding profusely.
Yeah.
Now she's really irked. Good time for the disco duo to slip out quietly. Exit stage right. Maul tries to find some band-aids for Locke. Look around, sweetie. You're in sickbay. Michael and Book get back to the bridge once again. Damn, those magical combat transporters would have come in real handy right about now.
Yeah, they would.
But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that their only hope is a tractor beam. Too bad it won't be installed until Tuesday. Oh, wait a minute. That was in Generations. Now, back at the disco. Almost forgot this ship was even in the episode. The swing shift bridge crew detects an oscillating pattern 3414. Well, this seems familiar to Rayner. Was this his old ATM PIN number? Well, time will tell in the remaining minutes of the episode. Okay, gang, we need options. Need to make that wormhole opening bigger. Feel free to use more than 20 words. Thoughts? Scan from the bridge crew member to bridge crew member to the next as ideas are exchanged. Solution: photon torpedoes. We're only going to get one shot at this. I trust you'll make it all count. Red alert. This, by the way, this particular line of dialogue, by the way, has been spoken about 900 times in Star Trek history. Well, yeah, Rayner, what else is new? So, on the Mirror Enterprise, as things look most dire and grim, Michael shares with Book some pillow talk about her encounter with Book during the time jump.
Yeah.
He seems confused, but oddly aroused. Go back and watch last week's episode again, Book, just to get caught up. In a voice reminiscent of the Pavel Chekhov and motion picture, we hear, "Torpedoes away!" Holy crap! Is that the Mirror Universe Enterprise coming out of the wormhole? Reese gets all giddy at the sight of a Constitution-class starship, even if it is a Mirror Universe knockoff. Time to excel? Well, not quite. The Enterprise is about to fire. Or is that just a delaying tactic? Yep, you got it. A warp pod is launched. It's Maul and Locke. Damn it, Book, Mikey declares. I told you we shouldn't have left them unguarded in sickbay. Alas, Maul and Locke make good their escape to the next episode. Now, back on the disco, Michael tells Rayner she's impressed with how he occupied the center seat, further reminding him that he used to be a captain before he got demoted. Gosh, Mikey, thanks a lot. But you're pretty clever yourself using that 3414 message using the Kelleran Ballad of Kroll poetry. Okay. Almost forgot. Tilly is still concerned that Dr. Cobra seems a little bit out of sorts.
Yeah.
Want to talk about it, Doc? Cool, let's hoist a few at Red's bar. Yeah, Tilly, I've been feeling a little weird since I got possessed by Janal, the troll symbiont, a few episodes ago. Just wondering, what's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? How should I know? Douglas Adams didn't know. He wrote about it. Well, Tilly pats Cobra's head, not really offering anything useful. But thank her subplot is over quickly. But I fear it will be revisited in a future episode.
Oh, yeah.
So with the Tilly Cobra subplot out of the way, Michael and Book admire their latest acquisition. Another piece of the map and a mysterious vial of liquid hidden inside. Which you want to bet that this will be pretty darn important next episode once Stamets gets his hot little hands on it. Burnham starts to see a pattern here. She figures out that the clue hidden in the ISS Enterprise came from Dr. Cho, a former Terran junior officer who later became a Starfleet admiral in the Prime Universe. Pretty impressive climb on the chain of command, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, this happy ending for her and the others from the Mirror Saru's merry band of refugees fills them all with hope. What lessons will we learn as they put the map together? The ISS Enterprise is being piloted by the MIA Detmer and Owasikan. Pardon my pronunciation.
That was wild.
And it's off to be put in Federation HQ storage. Reese sheds a tear as he sees his beloved favorite class starship go bye-bye. With 2 more map pieces to acquire, 5 more episodes to go. End of the beats.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's get down and dirty. Let's go through the details, folks. I do want to ask Craig's question because I was wondering this myself, and that was, we see a personal log being filed by Book, And as Craig asks, is it okay for someone who isn't a member of Starfleet to record a personal log? That's a good question. I wondered that myself. Have we ever seen anything like that before?
I don't recall offhand if we've ever seen it, although I'm not going to say with certainty that we haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, a personal log is a diary entry.
Right.
And
Right.
it's kind of like if you go and use a public Wi-Fi. I mean, as long as you don't mind your private stuff being on, public airwaves, go for it.
Yeah, which makes me wonder if there isn't some utility to doing that. Like, I have a reason for the things I do. I'm going to put
Mhm.
it in my ship's log, and other people are going to find it, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's why he did that." Maybe. We do know that Book really feels very strongly about trying to redeem Maul,
Right.
and that he's got a lot of history with her father. So yeah, maybe he's just making that public knowledge. It's funny because it's like for a captain, the captain's log is a big deal, but for someone else, it's like, isn't that like your Tumblr account?
Well, I would say so. And to serve your point, John, um, just like using internet and email at your office
Mm,
is not private, nor
yeah.
is a personal log on a starship. And I'll give you a great example. Um, Worf, when he went to the parallel universes one after the other, they had to
Mm,
access his personal logs to figure out what was going on.
mm,
So they are
that's right.
available in an emergency situation.
That's right. That's interesting. I really like that. That's a cool idea. And of course, Josh is saying, well, he means bring. Do not bring that other franchise into this, guys. It's so funny because I've always been one to go, wait, aren't the Mandalorians the Breens? Aren't the Breens the Mandalorians? Like, I used to troll one of the Star Trek groups that I used to belong to with with graphics I would make of Breen saying, "This is the way. This is the way. This is the way." But I would do it in like a weird metallic font, so it would look like their weird speech,
Yes.
which I love. I love their language. Their language is so like hard on the ears. I mean, they're alien to us. That makes perfect sense. And yeah, so they have like the Breen. Well,
Mhm.
this okay. First off, let me throw some appreciation toward this episode. I love that we finally meet the Breen. We finally get to know the Breen a little better. You know what they always reminded me of, the Breen? Speaking of
Mm.
bringing the other franchise into it, remember in Return of the Jedi, um, when the Carbonite Han Solo is in Jabba the Hutt's like big showroom,
Yeah.
his courtroom, and Leia shows up as that bounty hunter. She
Yes.
sure looks and sounds a whole lot like a Breen, and I think
Hey,
that
you
was
know
before
what?
the Breen were introduced.
You know, not suggesting any kind of lifting of I've always fantasized that somehow, some way that the two franchises can coexist, several centuries apart, but related.
I, honestly, they're in galaxies. They're they- Star Trek covers all galaxies. It covers universes. So that's the question, though, is which one's bigger? Who's got
Ah,
the more? Who's because I say Star Trek. I think Star Trek has the. Do you realize of all of the numbers of episodes and numbers of movies, when you add them all up, Star Trek is bigger than all the others combined?
surprising.
But
I mean, it's got to be well, or not thousands, but
yeah,
episodes
there
and
was
stories
a
total.
yeah. Honestly, I wish I'd saved it. Somebody had put up uh, a pie chart, and yeah, Star Trek dwarfs every other franchise when it comes to numbers of episodes, basically numbers of stories told. But I guess that's kind of obvious to most fans. What else did we get out of this episode? I do love, oh, that's so funny, Craig. That's a really funny Now you're bringing up distant relatives. Maybe the Cylons could be their crazy homicidal cousins.
Well, that would make more sense because, Battlestar Galactica, of course, was heading for and eventually came to Earth in both series. You could, with a little bit of tweaking, maybe a little retconning, they could coexist.
I always loved that too, that the Ancient Aliens tie-in existed in Battlestar Galactica, because that was one of the only times that these franchises have basically said, and Earth, you're part of it too. I mean, okay, that's not true. Earth plays a very big role in Star Trek. So what am I talking about? I immediately disproved my own point. I do think that the tease, because I feel like they teased us with this one. They said mirrors, wink, wink, mirror universe. And not only that, but was it weird to anyone that Book says, you mean in the mirror universe? I've never heard anyone. Am I wrong? I don't think anyone up to this point in Star Trek has referred to the mirror universe as the mirror universe. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong, but let's remind ourselves we're in the far, far future, 32nd century. Maybe it's more of a common reference, historically speaking.
I would think an antimatter universe would be extremely interesting. So yeah, actually, that's a good explanation, Joe. I like that.
Well, thank you. And of course, what would have been classified in the 23rd, 24th centuries would have become more common knowledge hundreds of years following.
No, that's a very good point.
And we did have Georgia with them for a short time in the 32nd century.
Right. But I mean, doesn't she say, well, I mean, to us, you're the universe, you're the mirror universe.
Well, that makes sense from her point of view, to be sure.
Josh says the mirror universe reference means it's somehow common knowledge. Yeah, so he's agreeing with you. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, again, it's very, very significant. But by calling this episode Mirrors and then having it, it is kind of about the mirror universe, but not really. But then there's the comparison of Maul and Locke to Burnham and Book. There's a mirror there. And they acknowledge that by both Booker and Burnham saying, look, I know you're in love. I know. Yeah, the person you're in love with. It makes everything, very clear to you, and you're not too worried about ethics or morals. The most important thing is the person you love, which is nice and kind of classic storytelling. You make it personal, you make it real to the characters. The big stories are not as important as the little stories.
Well, John, I totally agree with you. I would go as far as to say that the significance of the episode title is, in fact, the side-by-side relationships between Burnham and Book and Locke and Maul. I don't think Mirrors was ever intended to be a brazen reference to the mirror universe, because we got very little of it, as it turns out.
Yeah. But boy, am I glad we got it, because that means that you didn't waste your time making the graphics for this week's.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I always figure, even if it's totally irrelevant, it was fun to do, So.
Oh, I mean, it was gorgeous. It's still one of my favorite. I can't call it up, can I? It's still one of my favorite pieces of art you've done. Although I gotta say, you've done some really nice ones.
Oh, John, you're too kind. Thank you, and I hope others in the audience and our viewers liked it as well. And as I said before, I mean, if for no other reason, we had to show you in a Mirror Kirk muscle shirt, so.
Oh, I remember the days those used to fit. Oh, it's a long time ago. We haven't done yet, Joe?
What's that, John?
We haven't done our JoeTownsend.com ad.
Oh, well, please. And you know what? I'm out of uniform.
outside this year. But it didn't mean anything. We are going to release that song. It's coming up. Joe and I have discussed it. We're releasing that song. He sure is. He definitely is.
Thank you.
Just get up. All kinds of stuff over at joetownsville.com. Joe built the whole website with his own two hands. And you know how good Joe is at making stuff for us.
And well, thank you so much, John. And I'll tell you, I mean, it was a good thing we played the commercial at that point, because I was sitting there thinking, I feel naked somehow. Now I know why. Forgot my wonderful robe.
I did.
We're fully uniform now, so now I'm official again.
I didn't want to make you feel, self-conscious at all, so I wasn't going to bring anything up. And I do want to point out that the shirt you were already wearing is science blue. So
it would have worked, but I feel better now. So I'm glad we caught that.
Are there any more down and dirties that we want to?
I've got a short list if you want to hear it, John.
Oh, hit us.
There's always some overlap because you and I are very meticulous analysis of the episode, so I'll skip over those. But I will point out that on the con side of this week's episode, I came with 3 general missed opportunities.
Oh, okay.
Brilliant. Okay. In my opinion, the ISS Enterprise is almost wasted. I mean, one thing I loved about In a Mirror Darkly on Enterprise, was just the few minutes they spent going over crew records.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been really cool to see this, especially when referring to Spock, not even by name.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't we at least have gotten a goateed Ethan Peck? Wouldn't that just wouldn't?
There was a moment where I was like, will it happen? Will it happen? It didn't happen.
Didn't happen. This is my biggest missed opportunity.
Yeah, we're not going to see that in the future, are we?
I don't think so.
No, we're not. Not on Strange New Worlds either.
No, because at that point in history, I mean, it's the next encounter is years away, and it would take out some degree of retconning and juggling to make that happen. So,
and I don't like.
But we'll see. They've done stranger things.
Yeah.
But another missed opportunity for me. I mean, we've heard for too much of a for being blue. How much has for the Constitution class Enterprise,
and
these 2 other people fly it away. They even get annoying trainer who knows all about assassination.
Yeah,
I felt cheated at that, and it was fun. Like I said, what was good could have been, but come on, I mean, could we have done a little bit the Strange New World sets to make it more like
yeah, that's a good question, because man, that set looked super familiar.
But it is, obviously, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But how about some agony booths? How about some more of the sword through the earth logo?
Oh, yeah, where's that logo? Yeah, I missed that logo. I love that logo.
So we missed a few things there. Now on the plus side, I just have to point out, I think we got some really strong performances and some great character development this time for both heroes and villains, because if you can make a villain fleshed out, continuity and sin, you've got compelling. Much bad guy.
Yeah.
So the flashback sequence story for our 2 former couriers.
Yeah.
I think was the highlight of the episode.
Yeah. I normally don't feel that way, but I exactly feel that way.
And one thing, this one reminded me of Locke's to stick with his less evolved face. Choice becoming like kind of a few in the Breen culture.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of remember TNG's episode.
Which one?
Riker falls in love with it's a society that are pretty much androgynous.
Oh yeah, right.
And then the one person he falls in love with on the planet declares herself female.
Right.
So, I mean, just kind of turning your back on everything you know to be with someone you love, that drew some comparisons in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it feels like their love is real. And that's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. Because what I did not want to have, and what I was afraid we were being lurched towards, was that she's some sort of evil, manipulative, puppet master, and he's just this love-struck goon who she'll end up setting up and betraying. I did not want to see that. Doesn't look like we're going to see that.
I agree. I think we're going to have a higher level of writing than going for that easy out.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've really raised the stakes for us too in storytelling terms by this isn't just them being mercenaries. This isn't just them being treasure hunters. This is them trying to basically take the worst possible death warrant off of him.
Right.
And that she's involved in this heavily to save him. That's good storytelling. And I really appreciate that. It was
same here. Absolutely. And I've always said to others, if you can surprise me, then it's great writing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm the best writer in the world or anything of that nature. What I'm saying is that there's so many things that are used and recycled and so forth.
Yeah.
You see them coming a mile away.
Right.
And even if you do, I mean, I wasn't totally shocked that Locke was a Breen, but the way it was handled, I was not expecting.
And that's yeah. And that Michael's surprise is our surprise. Yes. Like she guesses it in real time and she's like, holy, and like, wow, that is kind of stupefying. Craig Robinson brings up an excellent point. How do you feel about them introducing the night shift bridge crew for this season? Past couple of episodes, Mikey seemed to be talking to them like we've known them for years. I agree that it's a good thing. I think that's what you're saying, Craig. Because not everything happens 9 to 5. That's a weird thing that we only ever know one shift. And it is one of the things that I appreciated about Next Generation was they would show that there were different shifts. And that, sometimes the Counselor Troy will actually take the con for like the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift or however they do it.
Well, Next Generation actually dramatized it in one episode. There might have been Data's Day, if I'm recalling, where Data was taking the night shift command. And it was a whole different ball. I mean, they even turned on the lights a little bit at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And, original series did it once or twice. I mean, occasionally we'd see somebody sitting in Uhura's chair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think the behind the scenes explanation is pretty apparent. Actors availability, maybe a little bit of a savings on the actors' salaries in some cases. But if you make it work within the context of the drama, so much the better.
You know something? Let me give a little inside baseball about that. When you sign your contract, you sign a contract, and this is just based on my experiences from like 25 years ago. So it's not always like this, but it's frequently like this. They will basically say the price we're locking you in on, the salary we're locking you in on right now is good for sometimes it's 4 years, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 6. A lot of times what will happen is you'll be locked into your salary, but there will be an automatic raise for every year of that contract. So another 15%, another 15%, another 15%. It sounds generous. It's not. That money is all the money you're getting from them. They are, they're not overpaying ever. And you're working crazy long hours, crazy long days. And if you have a small role, you just do whatever they want you to do, which is one reason why Gates McFadden left Next Generation. Denise Crosby wasn't happy on Next Generation. Will Wheaton left Next Generation. They weren't given enough to do. They weren't making all that much money. And someone's in their ear, especially Will Wheaton, because he talks about it openly, going, you have a movie career, they're not letting you do movies. You got to get out of there as soon as you can to go do movies. And it almost never works that you spend a lot of time in TV and then you get to go to movies. Very rare that you'll get hired like that. But yeah, Joe brings up an excellent point. At this point, it might cost a bit to get Owo and Detmer. It might cost a bit to get, other characters who have been with the show the whole time. Right. And I have to say, that would at least explain it to me, because I feel like Owo and Detmer, who were not in any way seen nor heard during this episode, are the ones taking the ship back. Because now I'm going, great. So I've got a guaranteed 2-3 episodes coming up where I'm not going to see Owo and Detmer. Maybe at the end of the season. I can't imagine they wouldn't bring them back to close out the series. But I love those actors, and it kind of bums me out that they're like, oh yeah, they're doing something important. So get used to the new people, and I do like the new people.
So do I. And I think that the new people have actually gotten a little bit of a character service that some of our originals didn't, in the sense that, hey, we have some information about them. We get to know them a little bit.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that either. And new good characters are always a great thing as well. It reminds me of, I will confess to our audience that I was a big Dallas and Knots Landing fan back in the day. And at some point when those shows ran for upwards of 14 years, they finally told the actors, you know what, we have to cut back your episodes.
Yeah.
It's getting too expensive.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is going on here. And we know that Paramount Plus is going through some changes right now, and some big changes possibly on the horizon. So it wouldn't surprise me, but it is kind of a Twilight Zone-ish effect on me that they apparently did not know this would be their last season until they were done. They had to tack on an ending, which we look forward to seeing in 5 weeks. But it sure seems like they did know, didn't they? Because it kind of has that feel.
Right. I'm telling you, I brought it up last week. I think somehow they knew. I think somehow it was in there, because they are really doing a lot of nostalgia and a lot of kind of revisiting characters that we haven't seen in a long time, and for like one last, hey Gray, we love you, good luck in Trill College, good luck. What do you think? Number one, should we go to predictions or MVPs?
Well, I think predictions, then MVP is fine, followed by tidbits. That seems to work in our current order.
Okay. We solicit predictions every week, and I am going to go first.
Go, please.
I'm sticking with my prediction, and it's out on a limb, I know, but I honestly feel like our new number one, I still don't trust him. Joe. Locke and Maul just happened to get away. Oh, they got away, Chief. Oh, I was reaching them, but I couldn't grab them. They got away. But at least we have their coordinates, so we know what direction they're heading in. Oh, seems a little too convenient for me, Rayner. I still feel like Rayner is somehow involved. And I hate feeling that way, because I want him to be a new character. I feel like his negativity is a positive for the show. There are so many moments where he's butting heads with Burnham, and I'm like, this is what Gene Roddenberry didn't want us to do, and I love it.
John, I agree completely. As a matter of fact, I was going to compliment you and bring this up if you didn't, as far as repeating that prediction, because I think you're spot on. I think that's the most likely. I think it would be the most interesting of the predictions we've come up with thus far. I think I brought up last time, I'll bring it up again, that along what you just said, initially Nicholas Meyer wanted Saavik to be the traitor in Star Trek VI, and Roddenberry would not allow it.
That's right.
even though Meyer created the character.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would have been very interesting to me.
Classic Roddenberry. Classic Roddenberry.
So unfortunately, it didn't come to pass.
Yeah.
And I think cementing your theory further this week is the fact that let's put it this way. I'm going to go, oh, shoot, that's a shame if I see one or both of these things. Number one, that Rayner is not up to no good, and that Locke and Maul end up betraying one or the other or each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. They're setting us up for, and look, I was buying it for the whole first half of our show, which is, oh, they're in love and I know their story now, but I still don't know that Maul won't betray Locke. And Locke does have motivation at some point to get this bounty off his head.
Yes.
Maybe out of self-preservation, he might betray Maul. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen people who are really, really tight, but get betrayed by the other person they're really tight with. What would that be? Would that be season 4? Yeah, that's season 4 of Discovery, I believe. Is where we find out the other scientist, the other genius scientist, betrayed his love.
As a writer, I would at least at the hump point, as it were. If your prediction was accurate, if Rayner's up to no good, and I want to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see on those 2 counts. So
we'll don't get me wrong. I'd be perfectly happy with a happy ending. Happy endings.
Well, happy ending for Locke and Maul. I do want to see Rayner turn on them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just you can almost taste it. It's so close. But if that's not the case, then I'm perfectly happy that he's just a really irritating son of a gun.
Well, and the other reason I don't want it to be that is because that would be just such a rehash of Shaw from season 3 Picard.
Right. The redeemed surly dickhead.
Yeah, exactly.
Try not to use that language on the show. I'm sorry, everybody. I used the D word. Do you feel we should do MVPs, or do you want to just run ahead to tidbits?
The only thing that I was going to throw out as far as predictions, just one, beyond what we've already talked about, is that I think that we will follow up, as I mentioned in my snide little comments in the beats. We will see more on Culber's spiritual journey.
Oh, for sure.
I just hope that it's more interesting than what we saw setting it up this week.
I hear you, and I'm quite afraid that we are making another prediction. I'm quite afraid what we're seeing is that Culber is going to be the big sacrifice for the whole series, that he's going to somehow sacrifice himself completely. Because he did mention, and Joe mentioned it last week, so I felt so great about that he had died.
Yes.
And basically came back to life and was a tortured soul during all that. And what's the redemption for that? What makes that good? What's the remedy? That he goes to heaven, that he has a good end, a good death, as a Klingon might say. And I don't want to see it. I love Wilson Cruz. I think Wilson Cruz is one of my favorite actors on TV right now. Honest to God, guy just oozes humor and lightness. And from everything everyone says, that's the kind of person Wilson Cruz is. That's not just Culber, the character he's playing. So, yeah, I don't want to lose him. I do not want to lose him from the franchise. I would love to see him again somewhere else. But we might be set up for he is our messianic sacrifice.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great new prediction, John, in addition to your thoughts about Rayner. And you know what? If that comes to pass, let's just make it count, unlike Trip in Enterprise.
Right.
Which is a waste.
Exactly. Perfect example. And you and I are not alone. There are so many fans who felt like, really, that's how Trip goes out?
Really? That if they ever do like some kind of Enterprise reunion on some level, deck story was somehow tampered with.
Yeah.
And the trip death was didn't happen.
That would totally work for me. I'd be more than happy to retcon that piece of crap. Character lack of development. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Craig has an MVP, so let's just do a quick MVP.
I got a quick one, so let's do it.
Oh, excellent. Craig says, my MVP is Linus for his killer skills on the piano. Who knew? Who knew Linus could play a beautiful baby grand like that in the lounge? That was really cool. I liked that too.
That's a good choice, Craig.
All right. What's your MVP, Mr. Townsell?
You know, one that I never really expected to pick, but I have to go with him this week. I would have to say it's Book.
Interesting.
I made some fun of him during the beats and so forth, and with tongue in cheek, obviously.
Right.
But the layers of his character and what he's trying to do for Maul and everything that goes along with that in this episode, I think earns him the top spot for me as MVP for Mirrors.
I can't argue with that. That's he is a very, very likable character. I have not been able to write him off. I think they've actually like made him even cooler and more important in this season, and that's great too. I have to say, for me, the MVP. Oh, I just had it in this terrible maelstrom that I call my brain. I do like that Reese is kind of undeniably really good. This is the second episode in a row where they needed an answer and Reese had it.
Yes.
And I'm seeing a lot of command in that. I'm seeing the chair. I think Reese is going for the chair at some point, not of this ship, another ship.
Maybe the rechristened ISS Enterprise.
Wouldn't that be something?
Now that would, of course, I would have to go back and retract what I said tonight.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I get it now. You're saving it for the right moment, the right command. So
right.
Let's make that one a hopeful prediction.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Reese is really showing himself, and I have to say, I always liked this actor. This actor always takes it seriously. I think he's I think he's a fan. And I also wonder if there isn't some like, we did Harry Kim so bad. Let's have another Asian character and let's do right by him.
You know what? There are worse motivations to service the character, so let's go for it.
Honestly, it is kind of cheap because, I mean, seriously, Garrett Wang is still out there. If you want to do something nice for him, do something nice for him. Bring him back, for heaven's sake. Give him something. But I do like the path that Reese is taking. It's really showing that his initiative pays off. And, I think we all want to know that happens in Starfleet. All right. Josh says, if they don't give Culber a good finish, I'm going to be pissed. And yeah, he's a tortured soul and then some. Yeah. I mean, it would answer all of the questions that they keep bringing up. But hey, if they don't kill him and they give him something else, I'm perfectly happy with that too. It's now time for my favorite part of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for Townsell's Tidbits? Because I know I am.
Oh, me too. We got some tidbits for tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Please share your tidbits, Mr. Townsell.
Well, just some historical filling in here. Accounts revealed that Empire Chancellor Spock was assassinated for trying to instigate his reforms, as he promised to Kirk. We learned, of course, he became Chancellor in the crossover episode after being in Prime Universe Kirk.
Very cool, though.
Yes. Now, just as previous season 5 episodes referenced TNG, Mirrors has callbacks to DS9. The Breen language and the refrigeration suits are 2 examples.
Yes, that's right.
There's also new info about the Breen. This episode and 1 or 2 previous, the new Breen Imperium, and of course the so-called faction wars. Hope to learn more about that. In a totally disgusting tidbit, we did learn that Kellerans, Rainer species, boil their cakes.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
That's true. Love that. This required a pause or two on my streaming device.
Yeah.
Booker checked out wanted posters from
Yeah.
the Federation, and the Andorian. She's wanted
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she's messed
Discovery
with
keeps a
everybody.
Cardassian everybody. A new incident on the Discovery keeps a Cardassian vole as a pet, possibly to eat up the tribble that's running around loose, I would guess. Um, in a kind of a cute moment, at the end of the episode, Book asks Burnham, hit it? And she says, no, let's just fly. So much for Pike's little command of choice.
I like that. I like that.
Tilly tells us at one point that her very long day has made her feel like she has been through let me get this pronunciation, a Gormangander's digestive tract. This, of course, being the creature that used to power the spore drive jumps in season 1.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Oh, wow.
I had to look it up, but I confirmed it.
Yeah, well done. Good tidbit.
Thank you. And finally, I think my favorite, hollow emitters in the Enterprise sickbay suggest an EMH.
Right.
Which seems a little bit too advanced for a starship of this era, but in some ways, the Mirror Universe is backwards compared to Prime. Maybe in other ways, strategic ways, they're more advanced.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. There are a couple of things I wanted to bring up. Maul refers to the Breens as bucket heads.
Yes.
If you'll remember, Reno said that to the Emerald Chain regulators last episode.
That's right.
This could be a nod to the use of bucket heads in Star Wars as a derogatory term for stormtroopers, otherwise known as the guys who couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
And if they knew what a barn was, they couldn't hit the broadside of
it. Here's a question. Okay, I'm just stealing these from trekmovie.com. How does Book know that Pike's catchphrase was hit it? He must have
I
heard
think
a
that's
story.
just my only best explanation I have is let's suspend some disbelief.
Yeah.
There's just no way in hell.
That's a very good point. That's a good point. But actually, this is I really wanted to cover this because the episode was dedicated to the loving memory of our friend Alan Red Marquetta. He was the lead set dresser, and he died in a motorcycle accident in 2022. Presumably, the USS Discovery bar Reds was named in his honor.
Well, we kind of suppose that combination or that connection, but I don't know who it was.
Yeah. But that's let's see. Oh, the ISS Enterprise was billed at Tartarus base, referencing Tartarus Prime from the TOS novel The Rings of Time.
My goodness, well, yeah. Sorry, I'm not diving into the novel so much. Good for that author for finding it.
Yeah. Honestly, it's usually not the trivia that I love. It's the fact that somebody did their best to write it down. I love that. I am looking for the inscription, but I'm not finding it. So,
Are you talking about the dedication plaque?
Yeah, the dedication plaque. Oh, I found it. The dedication plaque seen on the Enterprise. Now, this is from memoryalpha.fandom.com. The new High Chancellor presented hope and justice as if they were natural to our world. His words, "The light of hope shines through even the darkest of nights," became our rallying cry. He spoke of reform and changed many of us, but some saw this as weakness. They killed him, and we sought help from an unlikely ally, a Kelpian slave turned rebel leader. Action Saru in all universes, as Book says. He spoke of visitors from another world, a near-perfect mirror that casts our darkness into light. With his aid, we secured the Enterprise, but he stayed behind to continue his work. So, Mirror Saru stayed in the mirror universe. We bear scars from our escape, but our hope remains. May it carry us into a shining, peaceful, and just future. Very nicely done. They did that, and that's a lovely story. Even though it's just a story, we don't see any of it. We just hear characters say it.
It did kind of violate the writing 101 in the sense that we want to show it, not tell it, but hey, at least we got that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Look what Craig has. Did you guys think it a bit hokey when Stamets identified the ISS Enterprise when it was hardly visible? Did the spores give him Geordie vision?
No.
I wouldn't say they didn't. I mean, we've already found out that the spores have really, like, he's not affected by time spells now. It's very interesting. I don't know how he could identify it, but except to say that the writers didn't know how the special effect would look, so they couldn't predict whether or not the special effect would be, good enough for someone to say, "Yeah, that's the Enterprise." Yeah,
Well, I
that's
mean,
his
there's always explanation, but as far as within the story,
yeah,
if the Constitution class ships look the same they did in TOS, there were visual differences.
right,
But
right,
this, unfortunately, as I alluded to in my missed opportunities, they did so little to make it distinguished from the Prime Universe Enterprise. It's a reach. I have to agree on that point. It's like,
yeah.
you know.
It's those little things that don't always come together. The circle doesn't always get completed. We are just about out of here, so I'm going to play another commercial. We are, of course, a non-commercial show.
We're not monetized.
We're non-monetized. We do not do paid promotions. This is an unpaid promotion. No money exchanges hands between Joe Townsend and myself. But we do want you to check out joetownsend.com and the fact that horror springs eternal. Am I getting that right? It's horror, right?
You are getting that right, sir. Thank you.
That is due this fall, which means Joe Townsend is meeting deadlines, people.
Well, I have every intention of it. And, when I see a revised ad that says "coming at Christmas," no, I'm well along into it. The bulk of it's laid out and redrafted in some cases. It will be there for the fall, and I'm sure and I hope that everyone who picks it up will enjoy it. There's some work that I'm very proud of.
Excellent, and I know I'm gonna love it. My computer was misbehaving. I had to do some major rebooting the other day, and so I couldn't use my computer. Oh, and the internet was acting like a freaking idiot too.
Yeah.
So I settled down on the couch and cracked open Fury Duty and reading me some Joe Townsend right now, and it is really amazing.
Well, thank you, sir, and that's great timing too, because as you'll show us here in a moment with our coming next time graphics. We are having, you might want to throw this one up first, as a matter of fact. Well, there's next week's disco.
Oh, wait. Nope. That's
okay.
This one?
Okay. That's the one I was referring to. We'll look at both, of course, but
yeah,
we are having special guest Stevie Arviso tomorrow, who has told John many times, "Gee, John, that copy of Fury Duty you have looks pretty unblemished, looks pretty new." So tomorrow, please pull it out and show him there's at least one crack in the spine. Okay.
I will do that because believe me, that's been weighing heavily on me. And Stevie is so funny because Stevie can just cut through the BS. Frankly, Stevie is. I like to refer to Stevie not just as a comedy writer and a science fiction writer, but also as a very funny satirist. And so Stevie will be joining us tomorrow as the three of us, and hopefully you and all the other folks who show up will be watching some Boris Karloff. And okay, so you know how I do the crash test. I like to play the clips that we're going to watch on Retro Rangers. I did that last night, except I didn't record it. So it didn't go out. So it didn't. Oh, I'm so mad at myself. I stayed up extra late and I had an early class to teach today. And because my sleep medicine, which, is cannabis, among others. Yeah. So I'm going to have to run another one. Hey, if you're around later and you want to check out Weber Internet Thingy on Facebook, we will be running those clips if you want to get a sneak preview of them. I feel like such an idiot. I wasted like 2 hours last night. Though I have to say, the things I watched were very good. I do have to say, so it's going to be a good episode.
And I kind of rushed you through our next time for disco. What's coming up next week, John, on Disco Nights?
Next time for disco, and an episode. Okay, is this the worst episode title that Star Trek Discovery has ever had? Because honestly, I think it might be Whistle Speak.
And you know what, John? I saw a Paramount Plus clip, from that episode earlier today.
Yeah,
and it seems to literally refer to aliens that have some kind of respiratory condition and whistle through their noses as they speak. I am not kidding. So we'll just have to wait and see if it's better than it sounds. You know,
one of these days I will dig up footage of a character from my childhood who is a clown on Channel 38 out of Boston named Willie Whistle, and he would talk in a whistle. And it was one of the worst things you ever heard in your life. Just he might as well have been called Willie Nails Down the Chalkboard. And 6 years old, and I'm like, I can't listen to this crap. Good Lord, why do they put this on TV? Ugh. So anyway, we'll be meeting some whistly speaking aliens. And can I just ask everyone watching this, can you just give a little love to Joe Townsend for his Star Trek the Animated Series artwork? Oh my God, I love this. You top yourself every week, Mr. Townsend.
Oh, thank you, John.
I'm blown away.
And the inspiration for this particular piece is in the tagline, and I think it's very true. You and I, sir, always animated, but never two-dimensional.
Damn right. Okay, I think that's gonna do it. We're about 7 minutes over, almost 8. So yeah, I like to come in at an hour or under if we can, and we came so close. But it's so much fun doing this show. It's really, really hard to stop doing it.
We could lop it off in an hour, then at the end.
We totally could. This could be edited. This could really be edited. There's a bunch of personal stories I told during this episode that I would just cut out. All right. I think that's going to do it, Joe. Another great week. Thank you so much for all the work you do on this show.
Oh, John, same back at you, my friend. You work so hard. I think that tends to get underemphasized because you're so generous to me. But we strive to bring you the best shows we can, the most fun and entertaining. And thank you to everybody for joining us today and for watching later.
Give yourself a couple hours tomorrow to spend with us for the Karloff and Company episode of Retro Rangers. I guarantee you will have fun. It is going to be a really fun show. And join us next week, because if there's one thing that we love, Starbase Daily Disco Night. Yeah. Bye, everybody. Thank you.